Hey guys, welcome to Jasper Valley Farms. Today I want to talk to you about how I pulled my well pump out by hand using a 2x4 across the top of my well house and about a 10-foot piece of rope. I know most folks it's small farming, homestead farming, hobby farming, whatever you want to call it. We can't afford to have a big crane company come out here and set a crane up and pull this thing out. And I watched a few videos of how they installed new ones. And I seen some of their rigging and plus some of the rigging that we do at my job. I come up with this idea to lay the 2x4 across and to tie a little simple grapevine knot. And that's what we call it. You just take half-inch piece of rope and just wrap it 4 to 5 times. Just wrap it around it and get you a good size little wrap there, 4 or 5 of them. Then take the bottom one and tie a half inch into the one that's going to be going up to the 2x4, and then throw another half hitch in there just to back that one up. And then you've got this rope right here tied up to the 2x4, and that'll hold the weight. So once I got the pump started, I tied this knot, and then I just let it set down into the rope and check it. And then each time I'd go, the rope would be holding it. Take my left hand, I'd pull up on the pump, slide the knot out, then I could release, and it would stay. And I done this by myself, and they were 6 joints of 1.25 inch PVC pipe connected, and then at the bottom was about a 3-foot submergible pump. So that's a lot of weight. You're going to get tired. And out here I don't have the means to boom trucks, cranes, etc. I mean, I'm just getting started. I got this place going about August. I went and started building fence, and I went in September and purchased my first 3 gifts. But I got to thinking, you know, we all worry about what feed we give our animals, because, you know, if you feed them trash, they're going to taste like trash. And if you feed them quality feed, the meat's going to be quality. So I got to thinking, if we just give them this old county city water that's diluted with chlorine and God knows what all they put in it, you know, what's that going to do to our meat? And when I bought this place, they told me that the well didn't work. And, you know, it's always been in the back of my mind, you know, if I hooked this thing up, I wouldn't have to pay a water bill, and I'd have fresh water right out of the ground in the East Tennessee mountains. And I don't think you can get better quality anywhere from the ground than in the mountains. And I pulled this thing out, and it went almost to the road. And I bought an above ground pump. That way, if my pump ever went out, I can just change it out. Well, the above ground pump was only good for 100 feet. And I didn't know how deep it was. So I was like, dang. If I put this back in there with a holding valve at the bottom to hold the water from falling back out once the pump shuts off, it's going to burn that little pump up. So I take it off, and I pulled the pump out, took it, well, I tested it and seen that the pump was bad and the wires had burned into along the way. And I was like, well, I'm just going to spend $300 and get a good submergible pump. And I run up there, and then it got dark, and I let everything sit overnight. I went to work, come back the next day, installed it, got new wire run down the conduit. I taped all the joints, and I used the same rigging to let it back in. But I did have a rope attached to the pump. But make sure you stretch your rope out and make sure it's long enough, because about 3/4 of the way in, I lost my rope. So that was a boo-boo on my part. You know, we live and learn by our mistakes. If you ain't screwing up, you ain't doing nothing. And luckily, I used my rope anyway, and I just let it on down, got to the end, put my cap on it, tightened it up, and I got to thinking, tie both pumps, the above ground and the below ground, to the same pressure switch. I got my power coming in, and then I've got it, once the pressure's right, it will go out to both pumps. So now, when my pump kicks on, I'll show you guys. You know, I got my above ground pump. I mean, it wasn't big, and it said it was only good for 100 feet, so I didn't want to take any chances. And I've disconnected my holding tank because all I'm doing right now with this well is watering my animals and soaking my corn, which I'll get into in my next video. But I think water is just as much important, clean water, to your animals as is good quality feed. If you give them just old crappy water from the city, it's chlorinated, it ain't got a filter, you know, I think straight out of the ground, spring water, mountain water, groundwater, whatever you want to call it. I filled up a jug that was see-through, and I let that stuff sit, and it stayed just as clear as a bell for 2 or 3 weeks. It never got dingy or nothing. But this was worth my time. Now I don't have water hoses run everywhere. Now I can start digging water lines in to my automatic waters, and I can take a little simple light switch, 2 of them, tie them together, and I got an on and off switch for my well pump. And this is just stuff I had laying around. Yeah, I could have went and got a box, but I'm trying to manage money. So I've got power coming in, and then I got a jumper on one hot wire that runs over to the high side. Both hot wires, one hits one high side, one hits the other high side. And then I got a wire, attached it to this low side, come over here and hooked it in. And now I've got my 2 hot ones coming in, hitting the tops of their switches. And then the switch is my open point, just like a breaker. And then when I need them, I open them, close them, and that'll give me power. And that way my pumps ain't sitting hot all the time. You know, it just gives me a way to isolate if I ever need to work on it. And it's winter time, it's cold, it's 30 degrees. And I disconnected my blue tank because right now I'm not feeding my house with this well. I want to make sure it's not going to dry up, and that the pumps are going to do their part. And always test your pump, inspect your wires, because your pump may not be bad. I thought maybe my pump wasn't bad, but it was. I hooked it up, and I don't have a whole lot of money to just blow. I try to do it the cheapest way I can, but to make sure my animals are taken well care of. I hope that maybe one day I'll have some kind of name for myself as far as breeding. I want to breed my hogs. The ones I have now, I don't ever plan on killing them until their full life is up. But their offspring, I plan on selling them, feeders, maybe getting a license and selling USDA pork, you know, right here from the house. Good Homestead quality pork that ain't raised on concrete. These pigs get to have a natural life, and I want to give them a good life. That way I can justify putting them in my freezer in 6 months. Right now, this is a passion of mine. It's a hobby, something I enjoy. I don't travel no more. I stayed gone for 20 years on the road. I don't travel no more. I landed a job at a local utility in East Tennessee. I'm very blessed. I get to sleep in my bed every night, and now I get to do things that I enjoy. I wish I was rich. I'd go buy a big farm with all the big fancy equipment, and all that. Right now I got a 0-turn mower, a trailer, and hand tools, and I've managed to get fence built, stretched, well pulled, replaced, put back in, both pumps in sync together. Works really good. I've got great water pressure. I didn't see any videos of how to replace your well pump by hand. I've seen a bunch with big fancy cranes and winches and stuff like that. So I watched a few of those videos, got pointers, and I think YouTube is a good tool. I hope that I can build a network like a couple people that I follow on here. Uh, I'm probably going to catch a little flack from the guys at work for this right here. I'm usually known as the quiet one, don't really, do the social media stuff, but I just wanted to put this video out there, and maybe it could help somebody. And I can look back 10 years from now and see these videos. I may break my phone tomorrow. It may fall out of the bucket truck and shatter, and there goes my videos. So this helps me keep track of my progress, my pig growth, where I started to where I am now. It's just I can look back at this and see how far I've come. And if anybody's got any comments, questions, put them down in the comments. I'll try to figure out how to respond back and all that good stuff. Hit the like and subscribe.